This is In the Middle with Josh and Sarah Siders. We get it. You're probably going through something that's asking you to dig deep, think differently, and hold on against the odds.
So these are our thoughts about starting new things, shutting some things down, and being with you right there in the middle.
Welcome back to the In the Middle podcast, the podcast for those of us who haven't arrived yet. I'm Sarah.
I'm Josh. So glad to have you with us.
Yes. So a big thanks to our sponsor for the week.
Who's that?
Spring break.
Yes. Let's go. Spring break.
Spring break. So some people are traveling. So for those of you who are traveling, safe travels.
Yeah, safe travels. We are some of those.
Yeah. We're going to be,
seeing family and
hanging
out.
It's like staycation.
Yeah.
Like
staycation 2 hours away.
Yeah. We'll be kind of making some rounds, but wherever you are, hopefully you are safe and having fun. I know not everyone has spring break at this time, but a lot of people do. A lot of people do. So it's been really nice. We are decreasing screen use during the spring break to just really, because there's so much downtime and it can get absorbed. So we're really trying to do that, and it's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
More naps are taken, which is good.
Yes, by the children, not us,
not necessarily. Us. Yeah, right.
but it's good. A little recovery. Yeah. So all of this downtime has got us thinking deep thoughts, and we wanted to come to you with a topic that we don't actually discuss for people who are connected with the faith community and who have history in ministry leadership. We don't talk about faith a ton here, but is always a part, kind of like in the fringes of what we discuss. And so we wanted to kind of go head on to talk about faith. Finding faith in midlife. Yeah. Finding faith again in midlife. Right. Because it changes.
It does.
So I wanted to kind of get your thoughts on, what you notice as maybe some themes. For people, because we have our own story, and it kind of fits we've referenced the critical journey and some of these other frameworks that were really helpful, but in real life, it doesn't follow a psychologist's model, right? It's not always so clean. What kinds of themes or patterns do you tend to notice about people's faith journey in midlife specifically?
Yeah, I think one of the first things that I notice is the disruption and how people tend to be caught off guard with how disruptive issues, crises, questions in their faith really becomes. It's a big disruption. And I would say, kind of jumping to just a little bit explaining, I think that's a good thing. There's a lot about our faith that should be disrupted in a positive way, though it doesn't feel positive at the time. So I'll put it like this. I think how I would sum it up is that in entering midlife, there's a lot of disillusionment that comes with our foundational faith, or what we have assumed to be true about our faith. There's disillusionment. And yet I would say to be disillusioned means you drop the illusion, right? So I think that's a good thing where the blinders may fall off. You may, and many times along with this disruption and disillusionment, it's a product, or it's stirred up by maybe a fallout, a relational fallout. Maybe there's a crisis in your life, like a divorce or loss of a parent or a loved one. It could be more existential, like, is this all that there is? It could be the fall of a leader or the splitting of a church or some of those circumstances. Your eyes, you become open to the messiness that is faith, be it church or just the relationships of a faith community. Your eyes get opened up to wow, if this is what it is, I'm not really sure what I think about God, what I think about my faith, what I think about anything anymore. I don't know what I want it to be. So that's what I would say, kind of to introduce it. That's what I notice, is that people start asking more questions.
Yeah.
And faith leaders aren't usually comforted by that.
Right.
They're hard questions.
Right.
That we don't always have answers to.
That we often don't, in my opinion.
We often don't. And yet, in a lot of times in the Western system of let's say church, faith leaders, pastors in particular, are set up to be the answerers. And a lot of times these questions don't have clean answers. What does that mean about the leaders? What does that mean about who can I trust? Who can I go to? So, and it disrupts a lot of the interconnected, faith answer community type things. And it's really uncomfortable all the way around.
Yes.
And I would still say, jumping kind of to the end, not the end, but, spoiler alert, I think that's okay to disrupt some of these things.
Yeah.
And to, take some faith leaders down a couple pegs as the know-it-alls. Right? And so anyway, that's what I would say. I know that's
that is
long, meandering answer to what have I noticed?
Yeah.
A lot of things.
Yeah. But under basically this umbrella experience of disruption, disillusionment, the many things that happen inside of that.
Yeah.
Maybe you're not saying that, but I think that is maybe one way to say it. Your faith, that's maybe one of the primary things that happens is this because we talk about this in midlife, isn't that on brand, right? Disillusionment, disruption, that's the thing that trips the whole system, right? For women, perimenopause, menopause, for men, some of these other relational, existential kinds of things, and probably, physical. But it's this disruption of the norm. It's this disruption of this is what I know, this is what is certain, this is what I can trust. Yeah. And wouldn't you know it, it applies to faith too.
It does.
Right? Kind of like what you're saying.
It's a holistic journey.
It is.
So nothing is spared if
nothing is spared.
You let it.
Right. But doesn't it just show that, like you're saying, if there's these faith leaders, and most faith leaders, especially ones that have kind of institutions to protect or whatever, they need everybody to kind of go along and get along to keep the machine going. And I don't want to sound too cynical, but I mean, anything that becomes an institution is essentially has machine elements to it. And so I think when people start asking those questions, it's disruptive to them. Yeah. But if they haven't really recognized this journey for themselves, right? If you are following a faith leader who hasn't gone where you're going, right? Who hasn't gotten to a stage 5, who hasn't had an
kind of has a black and white faith.
Yeah. If somebody hasn't had, in my view, if you're following someone who's in their 40s and beyond, who hasn't had a crisis of faith that they're honest about, who hasn't had disruption, that means that they are not being honest potentially, or they haven't been self-aware enough to notice this process. And to be totally honest, we see this journey of disillusionment throughout human history, throughout church leadership. The saints talk about it. It transcends culture, it transcends time. So this isn't just us confronting American evangelicalism, although it definitely is that. Yeah. In this time, right? But there's a certain this is what you do if you are a progressing, maturing human being. You confront this. And so I personally feel suspicious of people who are what? Everything's good. I'm what? No. I want to hear somebody who's been through it and is coming out on the other side. So yeah, I totally agree with you. The disillusionment is maybe the biggest thing that happens. So what does it mean when we say finding faith, right? It doesn't have to be the main theme, but it's what does it mean to find or rediscover faith when it's things are disillusioned? How do we sort this? I mean, I'll take a stab at that at some point too, but
I think first you have to allow your assumptions to be challenged about what you think to be true. Mm-hmm. I think one of another D word, another word that's been used is deconstruction.
Oh yeah.
And if you and that, depending on what kind of stream you swim in, can be a a bad word, 4-letter word.
Yeah.
But let's just, if you look at it from just like you have a house and you're gonna, redo the house. You're gonna gut it, do some great things to it and flip it, right? You have to pull some things down that are not essential to the foundation and framing, right?
You might have to gut it.
You might have to gut it. Some of the stuff might be rotted. Like you don't know till you open it up and take a look, right? And so I think, there's a great quote from C.S. Lewis that talked about, like God wants to build on or build a new house. We think he just wants to do a couple things, but he actually wants to do a whole gutting and redo the whole house. And so, and to some degree, we have to realize like God is behind a lot of this. He's the one who takes us through these different seasons. We don't do this on our own.
So good.
And so any kind of deconstruction or detangling from, you need to allow that work to be done on the non-essential things to go, maybe what was I elevating to an essential like point that needs to be maybe taken down or taken away. Some of the things we hold to that are not essential can actually divide us from people and actually can sort us into us versus them.
Yes.
And so I think God is, if he's in the business of unity, which I do believe he is, he's going to take away those walls and it's going to leave us feeling very naked, very exposed, but it is his work in doing so, so that we can actually like see from the other side better. Yeah. We can actually enter into people's pain. We can actually like do the work of reconciliation. But it is very painful to have your walls broken down and to go, I needed that. And for God at the end of the day to be basically saying, no, you don't. You don't need that. You need me. Right.
Man.
So that's what I would say is like, what was your original question? It's like, how do you do the work? How do you let this work?
I don't remember my
Sorry.
question.
Yeah, it was a good question.
No,
so I was trying to bring it back to that because you said you had an answer too. But anyway,
No, I'll get there. I have other follow-up questions now for this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
Allowing God to do the work and being okay with some of those things that you thought were essential. I mean, from the Christian faith, the essential things are the Apostles' Creed and Nicene Creed.
Yeah.
Everything else is us making sense of those things. And sometimes what we thought made sense needs to go by the wayside, at least for a season. Maybe you go, no, actually, I like that is biblical doctrine. That is something that makes sense of my faith, and you can add it back later. But being okay to let Jesus do the work of deconstructing, disentangling, whatever. I
think that like that thought right there, which I love and I think is so valuable for people who are in this stage, to go, hey, this is God. Like, because people go, oh, I've been confronted with this, truth, and now I'm a conspiracy theorist within the Christian church. Like, all this is, BS, and it's just this big facade, and I'm the one that discovered it. And you feel like an alien, you feel like a foreigner in that environment, and you're disillusioned. You're feeling like you maybe doubt, and to go, oh, God is behind this. Like, I think that's really important because people think it's them uncovering some nonsense, some shenanigans about God, that God is up to some business and they've discovered him, right? And we feel that way sometimes. But it's like, no, it's not God, that even God leads you into this where you're discovering something that's more substantive, that's more real. Right. And so the thing that you are going to come out with on the other side can stand a test, can stand a trial, and everything that is superfluous, everything that is cotton candy, everything that is just fluff, that's not real, that's a preference or a secondary issue that you've elevated, that's so important, it's like it gets crushed, it gets taken away, it kind of like
it gets tested too. It gets
tested,
like and I think that's our doctrine gets tested against the grace and mercy of God. And those things that can't withstand that shaking don't need to. Because it doesn't lead to love at the end of the day. It just leads to more division or more legalism or more self-righteousness or whatever.
I really like that framing that you offered as well about how it's like unto unity. Like, hey, the idea is that, whether you're Presbyterian or Baptist or Catholic or Methodist, that you would come to see the common ground, that you would see, like, look at all the places of our faith, like at the Apostles' Creed, that's the blood
That's
doctrine.
right.
That's the stuff that we hold to
Right.
when we say essentials.
Well, and so what do I say? What I will say is in midlife, what I'm experiencing is kind of it's part exhaustion, part annoyance of people continuing to argue about the second, third tier doctrine as
yeah.
if they're first tier,
Right.
and as if you don't, or even recognizing, okay, this is our preference for worship, or this is
Yeah.
our style.
Yeah.
But if you don't agree with that, then you're not fill in the blank. You're not as faithful. You're not as in tune with the Holy Spirit. You're not as in tune with what people are, resonate with people. Like I'm kind of like over it in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Have your preferences. I have my preferences.
Yes.
Like there's nothing wrong, but it's rightly framed and prioritized. But I also, at the same time, I'll give you an example of something that I'm seeing more, I'm just having more conversations with, or something like women in ministry, a doctrine like that.
Yeah.
That's something that, for me, I was settled about 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Kind of went, no women in ministry are fine, kind of did that. And I don't say that to say, oh yeah, that's old news to me. I'm just like, I'm tired of people dividing people over that as if it's a core doctrine. And I also have to express patience for those that are still like authentically navigating that and trying to make sense of that.
Yeah.
Because in our church, we have people who have come out of a complementarian space, meaning the church leaders that they come up under don't believe women can be pastors, and there's a lot of nuance there. But and so I'm trying to show, patience with them as they're on the journey.
Right.
For me, thinking, so if someone wants to meet and talk about it, I have to kind of discern: are you trying to attack my belief? Are you genuinely curious about why I landed where and you can't always do that over hey, pastor, can we meet and talk about X, right? So, but you have to be very, I think, gentle and patient with people, especially in midlife, who are going, wow, I don't know what to believe anymore.
Right.
It's kind of threatening my foundational, if this goes, what else goes, sort of thing. Does it all just get flattened? Are there some core things I'm trying to hang on to? So some of it is just like, you just have to be ready for the conversation. And I'm not always in that headspace,
when people bring it up.
Yeah. So, and it's not just that issue. It's like, it's all the other things and even more core things, people who are actually questioning core doctrine, being patient with them as well.
Yes.
Because just because people are questioning, certain things, is Jesus God, virgin birth, sinfulness in humanity, whatever those core doctrines we would say are, doesn't mean they're going to land there forever. But as a church leader, I have a responsibility to be patient with them because what I say might actually push them further away or have them continuing that season for an undue period of time because of my responses or my reactions.
Right.
So I have to be settled on the things that I believe and the things that I think are core, Apostles' Creed, Nicene Creed, but also not let other people's questioning threaten where I've landed, And so
well, it's
that's
like
what I would say
if
too.
God is doing it, right? Like, let's all take great comfort in the fact that God is part of your, dismantling process, right? That like that God is interested in you holding on to what's core, to only having access in your soul to the things that you can actually count on.
Yeah.
Not the nonsense that you're like, I don't know, like, maybe that's God or not. Like to have the things, the things sifted so that the real surfaces and you can hold to that.
Right.
That's so valuable. Right. And that's the opportunity, the invitation of this midlife faith crisis that we go on. And I think like if you go, oh, everyone is afraid of my questions, I'm afraid God is afraid of my questions. It's like, no. God is literally instigating this.
Yeah.
He's the catalyst.
Yeah.
And so if you do that what that does to me, that's a game changer, because it means you go on the journey of disillusionment with God instead of against him.
Right. That's right.
Because I think if you think you're against God and it's like you have to snuff out all of his his conspiracies and the big facade that he helped create, then you are going to feel like you don't know who to trust.
Right.
But if you
It's
go,
true.
God, you are even orchestrating the dismantling.
Yeah.
And so on the other side, you and I will know what is real, and I'll know you as you are a little bit more. And I think like that's like, I don't know, this, I just haven't thought of it this way. And so I'm having a little aha moment myself. I really love it. I think that's great. Like, I like the idea that I hear, some of their Catholic brothers and sisters saying, like, being a pilgrim.
Yeah.
You're not like a pioneer, like, oh yeah, always taking new ground. It's like, no, you're taking ground that people have always taken.
You're
This is
returning
your
back
journey.
to places people have already explored.
Yes.
It's unique to you, but there's some maps.
There are maps,
so-
right? The terrain.
So I had a
Yeah.
question. We talked earlier before we recorded, and you had an observation about maybe a danger or maybe a concern about
Yeah.
being in the fog of faith in midlife.
Yeah.
And maybe not getting out of that, or what are the dangers about, like, kind of like making that your new home base?
Well, I think that, like, you use the metaphor of like redoing your house, and it's like, if you realize, like, oh, like, we'll redo our foundation at some point, and that's good, right? Like, I live in this house of faith and identity that I have created with my experiences and my sense of self, right? And like, a lot of things come, especially in midlife, and they correct identity, they correct social role, they correct faith and spirituality, and you are like, oh, whoa, I'm feeling that shaking, I'm feeling this, like, I'm seeing some cracks, I'm seeing some things, I need to come in here and take this apart. And maybe you need to come down and take this thing, like, I see people just gut the whole thing, right?
Yeah,
It's down to the frames. Sometimes they're digging up the foundation, and I'm just like, okay, like, I'm not afraid of this, because like, let's do this together. God is on this journey with you. Let's not be afraid, but also know that you have to rebuild the house. Don't walk away. Don't go live in some other house. Like, rebuild the house.
Don't keep your roof off forever.
Right. Well, exactly. It's like this is a place that, there is a way to view this and interact with it. And like, we have friends who have all kinds of different faith journeys and stories, and are landing in different places, or at least, and it's great, and it's so rich. It's so rich to hear their stories and hear where they are, and the, like, authenticity of that. Like, I really appreciate it. But it's like, what does it look like to pour a foundation of some kind,
right?
And to begin to rebuild. Like, again, if you think that God is with you on that journey of deconstructing, then there is a like, oh, kind of an inherent pull to reconstruct.
That's
and
right.
to put something back together that God would invite you to do, so that you have a place to live in your soul.
That's right. Yeah, I think that's really good. Well, I think this is probably the first part of
Reader's Digest
many.
version of it. Yeah.
Lots more to explore here.
We keep saying that on every topic. So
I know.
We're gonna have to come back on all these, because it's like,
it's
so
really,
much.
really good.
There's
So
so much.
So how about reading, watching, listening to? What are you up to lately?
Man, I've been reading so many different things, but I went down the rabbit hole in this really interesting article that was not what I thought. It was from the 80s in the New Yorker, in the archives, by Janet Malcolm, called it was like psychoanalysis or psychotherapy, The Impossible Profession. And I was so intrigued, because I'm like, this is totally impossible. Like, you can, correct someone's, knee in an orthopedic surgery, but how do you help somebody with their soul? Right? It is, impossible terrain, really, if you're honest. And so it's been an interesting journey reading it, and kind of like the 1980s perspective, but I've really enjoyed that. What about you?
I am. Can I do a rewatch? Is that what am I watching now? I'm rewatching Ted Lasso. I just started it. Tail end of last week, prepping for season 4.
Good.
Yeah, it's as good as I remember.
Oh my gosh, it was so good, because it was in the pandemic, and we were all like kind of coming apart. And it was just such a bright spot.
It was great.
So I'm excited for season 4. Yay! And Mumford.
Mumford,
every time I hear Mumford now, I'm associated with
like
Ted Lasso.
days now. With I think a week, maybe less than a week or so. Yeah.
When they start filming.
Not. Oh, sorry. I thought you meant the new Mumford album.
Oh, the new Mumford album that goes with Ted Lasso.
Well, I don't know that it goes with Ted Lasso, but it.
Well, no.
They're just coming.
No, I'm sorry. You're right. They don't. But like, I think of Ted Lasso and Mumford.
Oh, well, of course.
Because of
the
there's
theme
a
song.
new Mumford album.
You're right.
Ted Lasso coming out.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so much goodness.
Yeah, absolutely.
So much goodness.
So what's saving your butt right now?
I am feeling really grateful for my morning readings in the Mass.
Yeah.
And I might have said that before, but it's still like what's saving your butt is just probably going to be some of the same things. So yeah, that's been really huge. Just coming back to that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So grounding.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah. What about you?
Deadlifts.
Oh, wow.
I've been going at them with a new kind of intensity is probably the wrong word, but throughout the years, my back is every once in a while like, my back hurts now, and
midlife.
But it's like really good. Like I can tell that my back is getting like stronger and more resilient.
That's awesome.
And I'm not like doing any PRs on deadlifts, but it's like the regularity is just really good.
Yeah.
And so
PR is a young man's game.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Every once in a while, I'm still like, hey, I PR'd with some bicep curls yesterday. So anyway, I'm like, all right, I got it. I got it.
I got this. Well, I mean, maintenance is
but I hear you.
A long game. It's a marathon mentality.
It is.
And I'm not good at it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm getting better, but like naturally, that is not my strength. So, but one must do it in midlife.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right. Well, y'all enjoy your week. If you are on spring break in any fashion, I hope that it is restorative for you. We are going to be back next week with another episode of In the Middle. And then until then, just join us on this journey of not being quite there yet, but figuring it out together.
Yeah.
Appreciate
having you, and we will see you next time. This is the In the Middle podcast with Josh and Sarah Siders. Visit inthemiddlecoaching.co for other resources, courses, and helpful tools.